Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to give you another WWE review. So tonight we're reviewing WWE Elimination Chamber, and I'm kind of late with this review, so let's hurry up and go and do this. So this is WWE Elimination Chamber for um, what day is it? February 23rd, 2014. Elimination Chamber for 2014, and I thought it was a pretty good show tonight. You have the kickoff show, which had Mark Henry, The Miz, and Rey Mysterio on it. I didn't really get a chance to check that out. I did see the match on the kickoff, so I guess we'll start off with that. The first match of the night was this is the guys on the chamber was Cody Rhodes and Goldust Rhodes Brothers versus Curtis Axel and Ryback of Ryback. So Curtis Axel is out there with his grandfather, the Axe Henning. This match right here was an okay match. Both teams showed off very good in this match. The Rhodes brothers most definitely came out and had most of the offense here. Used a lot of good moves. You had Goldust that was flipping all throughout the ring and stuff like that. The surprising thing came here is that you didn't really see any friction between the Rhodes brothers. It looks like what Goldust said in the tweet is true. They're not going at each other for the WrestleMania. So yeah, it was a pretty okay match. It did exactly what it needed to do in making the Rhodes boys look strong and stuff like that. And it was okay. The Grandpa Henning really didn't do anything to the match. He was just basically like on the outside, giving faces and stuff like that. But the Rhodes brothers ends up coming out with the win here, and just a okay way to kick off the show. So next we have the Elimination Chamber, which started up. Going into this Elimination Chamber, I thought that most of the storylines coming in were handled very nicely, with a few of them handled very nicely, like really, really nice, like the Shield stuff, Shield versus Wyatt. And I even thought that the Elimination Chamber match itself had a really good story coming in. A couple of the matches had, some okay build to them. So we kick off with the first match, which is Jack Swagger versus Big E Langston for his Intercontinental Championship belt. This was a very solid match. I really did like this match a good amount. Both of these guys came in there, put in on a very, wrestling based match, throwing each other around the ring. They were very good in this match of just, coming in and putting their offense down, and really showing why they're in the spot that they're in the higher in the lower main card. I believe that both of them, just from everything that they were doing, you had Big E who did a dive onto the what do you call it, through the ropes onto Swagger, who was standing on the apron, and they both fell out to the ring from that. You had Big E just doing all his athletic moveset, which is very good and it worked very well with Swagger. The ankle lock looked very nice going on Big E, and it looked for a second that he may not be able to get out of it. But I like the way that he reversed the ankle lock and stuff like that, and he just played a very good big man role here as far as his size going up against a guy who's probably the same size as him, and the way he gets out the last time is very good and shows his agility and stuff like that, and hitting a big ending and coming out with the win. So you get a very nice and solid match from Big E Langston and Jack Swagger, and I think they did the damn thing when it came to their match. So next you had a let's see what that is. A Bad News Bears segment. In this segment, he's basically saying how the Russians are winning more gold medals than the Americans, and how America basically sucks because they are not winning as much as the European team. It was an okay segment. Wade Barry did a few of these throughout the night. I thought that a couple of them were better. This one was kind of to me, but he did a few of them that were more better than this. So after that, you get let's see. Okay, yeah. Next, you get the tag team match with the tag team champions, the New Age Outlaws, versus the Usos for the belts. This match again was a very cool little match. I felt that the Usos played a good offense here, and you even had the New Age Outlaws who did, a really nice job of showing veteran skills, and I think that they actually showed it very nice as well in this match. I think there was one spot where Road Dogg threw one of the Usos into the bottom part of the turnbuckle, and it looked very painful. But he had a lot of great just veteran type moves that showed they know something more than the other guy did, and it played off nicely. But you also had the Usos who you know just outworked the New Age Outlaws and basically, worked them to the bare bones damn near until that, the Outlaws had to come in with some type of, veteran move in which basically was a roll up to get the other guys out. Now, I would have whether it went probably like a DQ or something to give more heat and to drive the Usos to try to win those belts more. But I think the way it ended was okay, and it's leading on to Mania. So, I really wanted to see this thing leading on to Mania and see the New Age Outlaws lead to Mania because it's a bigger draw doing that way. But it was another solid match, not as good as the first one, but an okay match here as well. So, and yeah, the tag team champions won that as well. After that, you got another Bad News Barrett segment, and this time he talks about how Daniel Bryan won't become the WWE champion, and all the crowd who's chanting the yes chants will basically be looked at as idiots and stuff like that. So yeah, I like that one actually a little bit better than the other one, but it was okay. So next we get Darren Young versus Titus O'Neil. This match was very mediocre. There's Titus O'Neil. Darren Young isn't really good when he goes off on offense. He's an okay guy as far as a mid-card type wrestler, but that's the wrong picture. But it just wasn't crowd pleasing. It just wasn't a main event type of moveset he was throwing out there, and it was something that very much felt like it would be on a SmackDown or something. And it was kind of from both of these guys. It just did not feel like a main event match at all. It felt like a middle of the second hour SmackDown match. It was just very mediocre, and it kind of brought down the tempo of the show. The crowd was not into it at all. The only time that you got the crowd into it was right here when Titus O'Neil was doing this this abdominal stretch, and he was slapping the shit out of Darren Young's chest and stomach and stuff like that, and the crowd felt that it's very painful. But other than that, it was not a lot to this match. Titus O'Neil did, I think, an okay job with the offense he was pulling off, but other than that, it really wasn't to it, and it just came off as boring and pretty mediocre. So, and Titus O'Neil ended up coming out with the win there. So next we get another Bad News Barrett segment, and he talks about how he talks about Hulk Hogan's return, and I don't really remember this one. I know like he was pissed because his stadium wouldn't rise up anymore. The Bad News Barrett segments were okay as something to break up each match and stuff like that. They also had another backstage segment with the toys and stuff like that, where Santino and Khali were playing with the toys. Then the Los Matadores and the Bull came out. Then Emma came out, and Santino ran away because he was scared of playing with toys in front of Emma. So that was a whatever segment. But yeah, after the Titus O'Neil win, we get probably the best match of the night. And there's Titus O'Neil winning. We get probably the best match of the night, which is the Shield versus the Wyatt family. This right here was a very good match. Even before the match started, just the promo package that they put out there, the hype up of once both teams got in the ring, and the stare down that they had. You had "This is awesome" chants being said at that stare down, and the build up to this match was just awesome. My cousin who doesn't watch wrestling a lot anymore. He's a big wrestling fan, but hasn't watched it for years now. Once I told him about who these two teams was, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of them before," and I saw a couple things from him. Once I told him about what they're going through, and it took like a 5 minute, if that, telling them, okay, these two factions are going against each other. He was like, "Oh, I want to see that." It wasn't anything more than that. That's all you needed for these two teams. And, it was just a build up going into this match. And Dean Ambrose took first strike, and it was all on. They started fighting each other until they got split off. Then the match got started for real. and it just led into a really good match. A lot of big spots happened once the Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt got into the ring. The crowd was popping, and them two got at each other and went really well. There was a lot of really good, just strong moves from Luke Harper and Roman Reigns here. Just the Shield showed not a lot of dominance at a lot of point of times, but showed that the Wyatt family, it was just a very much a back and forth at first. You even got like this fucking drop kick from a big ass Luke Harper. So it was just kept going, and just the whole match itself was just very well done. There was another spot right here where Luke Harper goes to throw Seth Rollins off the rope, and Seth Rollins ends up landing on his feet, then basically jumping on Luke Harper outside once he gets him outside. So just a lot of really great spots here, and just all the things that both of these teams did, just made it very good, and it kept the pace of the match going strong. The match started to go down towards the end where Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose starts to have a brawl, and they end up getting into the crowd, and we don't know where Dean Ambrose goes after this brawl. He basically gets beat up by Bray Wyatt, and we see Bray Wyatt just come back like he just finished off the animal and left it for dead somewhere. So Bray Wyatt comes back and basically set up the Smash Announce table for Seth Rollins to be thrown through it, and it started to look like the demise of the Shield at this point. They start beating up on Roman Reigns, and out of nowhere Roman Reigns just starts fighting back and going at it, and just seeing him go through and power out of things like Bray Wyatt's sister Abigail, and just go and just power out of everything. It just looked so dominant. It was just great until it became too much for him. Tried to go for a spear, ends up spearing the wrong guy. Bray Wyatt slams into him, hits the sister Abigail, and ends up getting the win. And you have the Wyatt families who come off with a win there. And to me, that was just probably the match of the night. And it was just another very, very good match, and the crowd made it also a good match too. So the Shield went and did the damn thing there, and they really showed themselves as the Shield and the Wyatt family could put on a really nice match. So after that, we end up getting a Divas match, which was an impromptu match with AJ Lee, who came on the mic at first saying that the only bit of competition or actual competition that she could have had is now injured, and there's really nowhere for her to go from there. And that's where you get Cameron, who comes out and basically accepts a challenge for her, or they already set up a match for her. The match itself was very piss poor. You could tell AJ Lee was playing to Cameron's strengths, and which was basically not a lot. Cameron had a lot of offense here, and it made AJ look weak. Only good spot was when AJ Lee was playing with her Cameron's pom-poms, and did the little ass move that the other girls do, and that looked nice, I guess. I don't know, but it was just a poor Divas match here. You get Tamina, who ends up trying to kick Cameron, but ends up accidentally kicking AJ Lee. She tries to make up for it by beating up on Cameron, and ends up getting disqualified, which was kind of a mess up because when she got disqualified for hitting AJ Lee in the first place. So, it was just a weird match, and AJ Lee comes out with still holding the belt after it, and we'll see where it goes from there. After that, we get another Bad News Bears segment, and he talks about how all the people in the crowd and Americans will end up going homeless and jobless and schoolless and end up getting their house taken because they'll spend so much time watching the WWE Network. It was a long stretch of a promo, but it worked at the end, I guess. After that, we get the match with Batista versus Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio came out in a crutch and stuff like that, and looked like he wasn't ready for a fight, and actually came out saying, Batista did all these things to him, and he's not going to be able to fight. Batista came out and getting booed as well, so, it was very interesting to see that, and it was kind of interesting to see where they were going to go with this. You knew that this wasn't going to happen, and he was going to actually take this off and start beating the shit out of Batista. So that was kind of predictable, but it added a little bit to the match where there was really nothing but that could have been just a squash match. Um, it did what it needed to do. Alberto Del Rio had a lot of offense in this match and looked as though he can beat up probably Batista, but it was inevitable. It was inevitable, and Batista ends up coming out with the power bomb in the win there, and yeah, Batista comes out with the win. As far as the match goes, it was an okay match. The crowd wasn't into it at all, so much that they was cheering for Del Rio. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was kind of a thing that I didn't like for a point. You got the crowd cheering Bautista and cheering for Alberto Del Rio every time he did something. It kind of makes me mad because WWE gives you good matches, but then again, we don't go along with some of the things, and it's kind of like it's not the way that it used to be. It's kind of like, oh well, we want our cake and eat it too, so we can't go along with something even though they're trying to push it as to be something more. We just dislike it all the way. So it's a solid match that the crowd didn't hate, and it was just an okay match. It wasn't anything more than a borderline kind of a little bit above mediocre match. So next we get the Elimination Chamber match. WWE Champion Randy Orton, Sheamus, Cesaro, Christian, Daniel Bryan, and John Cena. You had Randy Orton, John Cena in the cage. Inside of the pods. And you also had Daniel Bryan and Christian inside pods as well. Sheamus and Cesaro started off the match, and it was a little bit slow going off. It took a minute for the crowd to get into these two guys. Once Daniel Bryan got in, the crowd built up to it, and it started getting better. You had some nice little spots like this where Daniel Bryan hits a slam and a submission onto Sheamus and Cesaro at the same time. There were a few other good spots there. Once John Cena got in and Christian got in, it got a little bit better. But I think what really came out of this match was a lot of good spots here. They used the cage very nicely. They used the throwing the guys down and stuff very nicely. Once Randy Orton got out there, they used this also very nicely with him being, surrounded by all these participants of the Elimination Chamber and just basically cowering out of it and hiding inside of a pod. And, it was very nicely done having Sheamus just stare in front of the pod like, motherfucker, I'ma kill you, like that type of thing. And ends up kicking the pod open, like kind of like the thing with Triple H and Goldberg. It worked nicely for what it was. It got a good pop from the crowd, and I liked it. And it was very nicely done. So it was a nice kick, and Randy Orton sold it very well. You end up getting another, just a lot of good spots in the match and stuff like that. Where's another good spot at? Cesaro ends up doing the big swing on Randy Orton. The crowd was very into that, and that was pretty nice. Just a lot of really good things happen here. Another good spot right here was Sheamus and Christian were fighting their way up to here, and Christian was jumping onto the cage all night, like he did it a few times, and Christian actually climbs up on top of one of the pods. Sheamus tries to get on Randy Orton, takes him in, superplexes him onto the mat, and then Christian does a splash onto him from there and ends up pinning Sheamus. Another move happens where Christian ends up getting pinned. I think he was eaten up by I think it was a attitude adjustment got him, and then he got pinned. Or no, it was it was some move that got him. He got pinned, and then you end up getting these four competitors getting into the ring and going against each other, and it still continued to be good. Both teams, Daniel Bryan I think went off against Randy Orton, and John Cena went off against Cesaro, and then it ends up being these two guys going off against each other, and just a really nice several spots here. You get this power bomb, like a power bomb with a what do you call it? A Samoan drop as well. So it was very nice, and Cesaro really showed his strength here. And towards the end of the match, you get the Wyatt family just come out of nowhere, flash in and flash in there with the little thing that they do, their little Undertaker type move that they do, and start beating up on Cena. Hits him with the Sister Abigail, and basically sets up the feud for them. So I like that, sets up something for Cena, and it was nicely done as well. And Randy Orton sneakily comes and get the pin. They set up where Kane is coming in there. He yells at the Wyatt family to get out of there. Comes in there. Daniel Bryan sees him, hits him with a knee off the rope. Starts beating up on Randy Orton. Looks as though he's going to get the pin. Don't. Kane interrupts it. He hits Kane with a kick. Looks like he's going to finally get onto Randy Orton. That doesn't happen. And Kane ends up interfering one more time. Randy Orton hits an RKO and gets the win. As far as the whole Elimination Chamber goes itself, the match itself was fine. I liked the match a lot. It was better than I think last year's Elimination Chamber match. It did a nice job at what it needed to do and stuff like that. It was some good spots in there, and it kept the crowd interested and kept the crowd on their feet. The only downside is that Daniel Bryan didn't win. It looked like he was going to win, but he didn't. Randy Orton ends up picking up the win here, and we'll see where this leads from. That's just how it's going to go. And I love that the WWE just showed all the pissed off fans there, and the heroes beaten down. And to me, in a way, I was kind of happy he didn't get the win here, because it sets up for him fighting in the Royal Rumble, at WrestleMania, hopefully in that title match. The only way you can kind of relive yourself here is for him to fight in that title match. And I hope the WWE does it, because if it's Randy Orton versus Batista, them two alone, the crowd is going to not go with that, and they're probably going to get the biggest boos a WrestleMania match has ever gotten. So, hopefully, they put Daniel Bryan in that match. And to end this, I'll just leave with this picture. This was a very funny picture to me, and yeah, just bad news. Bryan didn't win. I was loving this picture. But as far as the whole show goes together, I liked most of the show. The only downside matches were the Titus O'Neil match and the Divas match. Everything else was done either, adequately or was was done very well. I liked the IC title match. I thought that was done very nicely. The Shield versus Wyatt match was a very good match. The tag team match was okay, and the Batista match was okay. The end match, the Elimination Chamber match, I really did like a lot, and I thought it did a nice job at what it needed to do. So yeah, I would give this pay-per-view a B-. It had a lot that it needed to do. It wasn't, I'll give it a straight B. I think it did exactly what it needed to do here, and it was an okay pay-per-view for what it was. All my links to contact me are down below. Hit me up on here, subscribe, like, comments, and see you on Monday. Thanks for watching. Peace.